Derkacks, welcome to the Elevating Resilience podcast. I am so excited to have you today. Today we have the father, Gene Derkack, Jordan Derkack, and Taylor Derkack. And the reason why this is special for me today is because when I started All In, Heidi and Bobby Tominski said to me, I need you to get this family involved. They are unbelievable and everything that you want to represent for All In. And so I reached out to Taylor. Jordan, you and I spoke, and then we went from there. Taylor was one of our sponsored athletes that raised money awareness for, what did we do again for you? The
Paralympic.
Yeah, which is awesome. And you guys sold shirts more than everybody, which is nice to see.
Very nice.
And there's a secret behind their success of raising two college basketball players. Taylor will be at UMass. Jordan is at Rutgers. And then the youngest son is
Aidan. Yep,
Aidan.
He's a sophomore in high school.
He's a sophomore in high school, and his plans will be to play Division I as well.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're gonna talk about resilience. We're gonna talk about what your secret is, and we're gonna talk about all things mental health and the connection of how you got where you are. So to start off, Dad, I'm gonna ask you first. What is the one secret?
Man, I'll tell you, I don't think it's a secret. I think it's my wife and I from an early stage really tried to instill what we thought were some characteristics and some skills that wouldn't really just translate into sport, but would translate into life. Those being resilience and perseverance and a mental fortitude. And we tried to instill that very early on in the kids.
Yeah.
And we did it through, believe it or not, we did it through like local 5Ks, right? So we would go out, they would see us running, they would see us competing, they would see us having fun doing it. And they were out there probably running 3 to 5 miles at age 5, 6, 7. And there was one rule: you couldn't stop. You could walk, but you couldn't stop. You had to finish something. If you start something, you have to finish something. So I think the secret is just to make sure that you are showing your kids and they're learning from what they see and what they watch. And my wife and I tried to do that early on. We tried to show them, like, this is, you have to be in shape. You have to work out. You have to work hard. You have to set a goal, go out and try to achieve it. But the one thing, and hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk about this today, is we did it as a family, and we were all out there together. And they probably didn't want to be out there all the time, but we supported each other, and we were pushing the young, we were pushing them in carriages before they were able to run, and so they got to see kind of that competition and that support, and we tried to carry that throughout their careers.
Yeah, and naturally, did they all just love the basketball? Were there any other sports you guys have tried, the kids?
Yeah, well, we started, obviously, my wife played Division I soccer. I played Division I basketball.
Tell me your wife's name again.
Jenny. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, she wishes she could be here today, but like how
wait to
life
meet
goes
her.
for us.
Yeah.
One of us has practice today, so she's doing that. So she played college soccer. I played basketball. So we started really with the kids early on playing whatever they wanted to play. Basketball, soccer. We tried baseball a little bit. Wasn't our deal. They didn't love it. They didn't want to do it, so which was fine with me.
Boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we everything from races, triathlons, basketball, soccer, anything else.
Gymnastics.
We did gymnastics.
Okay.
Not my thing.
Yeah. We tried it all.
What age would you say about the time that you knew that they were special, they were into it, they were learning and getting the lessons that you and your wife were teaching them?
I honestly, I knew early on.
Yeah.
I mean, as I tell this story a lot, but I had Jordan enter a sprint triathlon, like a kid's triathlon, and that's a swim, bike, and a run. And he might have been 5 years old. Couldn't really ride a bike that well, but we couldn't really swim that well. But we get to the triathlon, and he's never done it before, and he says to me, Daddy, where do I go after I get out of the swim? And I said, oh, you just follow everyone else. And he said, yeah, but when I'm first, where do I go? And so I was like, all right, well, if that happens, you follow me. I'll show you where to go. He wasn't first by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just that mentality.
Sure.
And he's always had that. Taylor has always had it. And they've always been, they've always had this mindset of, I'm going to win. Or I'm going to do everything I can to put myself in a position to win. Whether it was basketball, whether it was a mile race, a 5-mile race. So I knew early on that they had the mental component that it takes, but as they started playing, I realized, man, these kids are pretty good athletes too.
Yeah.
And they're pretty special. You know, they started playing basketball, I would say, probably in 3rd grade, you know, from a structured standpoint. And they were the best, you know, at that level early on.
Yeah. That's cool. And you fell in love right away.
Yeah.
Obviously. That's pretty cool. And for you guys, like, what do you remember from being not dragged, but going to races and watching your parents be active? Like, you want to start, Jordan?
Yeah, I think that, you know, he's right. We would see it all the time. So like it just made sense for us to be the next ones to do it. Yeah, it was a cool experience because I was a little bit older than them.
Yeah.
So I would be doing the races and they would be pushing them, and then eventually she got big enough to start walking and running with us, so we would have to wait back with her. And then Lo guy started running, and he was probably running at the youngest age because he had to, because no one wanted to push him anymore.
Yeah.
So there's pictures of him running, and you're like, there's no way he can even like walk. He's probably like 3 or 4 years old. Yeah, so those memories I think just instilled into my brain. And then being around really, really good people all the time. That's probably my biggest thing, is just when you're around people that, you know, are going to support you, while also pushing you.
Yeah.
that's a really positive thing.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Taylor?
I mean, I think like Jordan said, just watching people do it, watching my mom and dad doing it, but I think also like pushing each other. We've always been competitive, so like during the races it was always like, I'm gonna finish first, and no, I'm gonna finish first. So I think it was always like, if Jordan was a little ahead of me and Aidan, it was kind of like we're sprinting to try to beat Jordan. So it was always that. I mean, sometimes we didn't want to do it. It wasn't always like we wanted to run all the time, but I mean, it was always like if you start something, you need to finish it. So we all knew that we had to, even if we didn't want to, which I think builds a little of like the resilience that we're going to talk about. Like, even though things are hard sometimes and you might not want to do them, you have to put on your big boy pants and do it.
I love that. I've been talking a lot with people lately. Like, you grew up with two brothers, and I have this strong belief that instead of separating and just saying like women empowerment, I think the women need to be meshed with the guys, because you're both counteracting with each other, right? The men are making the women stronger and the women are making the men stronger. And it's like one of those things where you get that mentality because men bring a different mentality and women bring a different mentality. So let's do it together, because a lot of people are giving this opinion of only having girls left alone, separate because it's uncomfortable. It shouldn't be uncomfortable. It should be everybody together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, growing up with two brothers.
Yeah, I mean, growing up with two brothers, I was always around their friends. I was always around boys. I mean, I had some girlfriends, but very little. And I mean, I was always working out with the boys. I remember at such a young age, like playing in our backyard, and it was all Jordan's older friends, some of Aidan's older friends. And I was like, all right, can I play? Like, I want to play with you guys too. I mean, even today, I think it's still like, around, like, even though there's more opportunity for me being around girls and working out around girls, like I really mostly work out with guys. Like, even my trainings are like just me. I'm the only girl really, but I like it. I mean, it pushes me. Even I want to work out with them. I want to play with them. Like, it just makes me better. I mean, I think it also makes them better because like, I mean, like the stereotype is that girls are weaker than boys, but like I like to try to prove myself and be like, no, I'm supposed to be here. Like, I can play with you guys too.
Yeah. And this was never an issue. I grew up with a very strong mother. My wife is a very strong woman, an athlete. And I think from an early, when he was a kid, he loved watching women's basketball.
Yeah.
And so, for us, it's never been, girls, boys, it's always been getting better athletically and as a person. So Taylor had a good deal growing up with two, brothers that pushed her very hard. And, when they're in the court, there's no, the only issue sometimes is what ball we use, right? Do we use a girl's ball or a boy's ball?
We always end up using a boy's ball.
But we use a boy's ball. So in our family, it's just not, it shouldn't be an issue anywhere, but
no.
Especially not in our family.
But naturally, you see it again, like another thing. You introduced them to physical fitness.
Yeah.
You taught them not to give up, and now there's no line. You know what I mean? It's together. That's
I
really
also
cool.
Played with the boys team my 8th grade year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, I was the only 8th grade girl who wanted to play basketball, and it was kind of mixed up. Like 7th and 8th grade went together, and there was a bunch of 7th grade girls, but I was like, oh, like I'm the only 8th grade girl. I want to play with the 8th grade boys because they only had an 8th grade boys team. So I played with the 8th grade boys my 8th grade year, and I was the only girl on the team. But
do you have a team photo of that?
I think I do.
I want that, definitely.
No, I think I do. But
and let's not. It's what she didn't just play with the boys. She was the best player on the team. So like it's not like she fit in. She carried that team.
But I think it also like helped playing with them. Like I was comfortable around them. Like it wasn't like I'm the only girl. Like I've been playing with boys my whole life. We had to play with a boys ball, so I had to get used to that a little bit. But overall, like I think playing with them my whole life, playing with their friends, it didn't really scare me to play with the boys. Even at a young age, I remember trying out for the boys. There was a Colonia travel team. I remember trying out for the boys team because there wasn't a girls team. And then I made the team, and a few weeks later, the girls team was happening. They're like, which one do you want to play for? And it took me a few days because I was like, I don't know, like I want to play with the boys, but I ended up playing with the girls team. But I think it just shows how like girl sports has grown, like even from like such a little age. Like there wasn't a girls team, but I think like I tried out for the boys. There was other of my friends I got to introduce to the sport, and I think it just shows how much girl sports has grown and how much playing with them will like the physicality aspect too has like helped me in my journey.
Yeah, that's really great. So, obviously there's no handbook on how to raise a kid, so you don't ever know if you're doing it right. So what are some struggles that you experienced with any of the kids that would, help out a fellow parent that, and you got through it?
Yeah. I'll say first and foremost, like we don't have it dialed in. Like we're figuring this out as we go. My wife and I we weren't given a handbook on how to raise kids, like no one is, and especially how to raise athletes. But I like I said before, I think that what we tried to do was instill the morals and values and skills and characteristics that are going to set these kids up for life, right? How to be good human beings. And but with that said, like there's a lot of bumps along the road. I mean, this is when there's a big difference in playing fun local sports, right? Like your rec leagues, and there's a big difference of playing elite sport. And I think that when they're younger, it's fun, and it's and as they get older, it's an elite level, and they play at the highest level of basketball you could play, even at a youth level. So with that, there's bumps, right? There's setbacks, there's injuries, there's arguments, there's tears, there's losses, and I don't think we've done it right all the time. I think with Jordan, it was probably a lot harder because it was our first time. So I'm sure he'll sit here and say, like, I was not easy. My wife was not easy. We were very hard on him from a perspective of getting better and putting effort in, and in addressing things on the court, whether it's emotions or how you carry yourself. And like the journey he's made is just so unbelievable. But like a lot of it was on him and just learning. So I think it's a process. I don't think we have the answer yet. I think that it's hard. It's hard to compete at a level that they compete at. Again, there's losses that they have to deal with. There's injuries they have to deal with, and I think what we've tried to do over the years is get better with just being there from a support perspective. And what's hard is I know the game pretty well. My wife knows the game pretty well. So it's easy to say you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong. But like when your coach is saying that and your assistant coach is saying that and your circle saying that, I don't need to always be the one to say that too. So I think, I've come a long way, and I hope that they see it too, of just being a father and being, that support system they need versus, the critique everything that that doing critiquing everything that they do. And I think it's hard because like I see it, right? So like when Jordan does something and I'm like, all right, well let's tweak that a little bit. But like again, I think he's just at a different level right now, and I still do it. I still do it with all of them. I'd be lying if I sat here and said after every game we still break down film. We still, hey, if you do that a little differently. But I think they know how invested my wife and I are in not only their success on the court, but their success in life. So I think it probably comes with I'll take it a little more, and I'll hear it because I'm their biggest fan, and my wife says that we love everything they do, and we know that they're going to be successful in everything they do. So it probably comes with a little bit of like, all right, I'll suck this one up and just listen to him. But I know they don't always want to hear it.
I think though the lines of communication are open, so it's like everything we talk about. If there's a trust and a support there, you can say a little bit more than the average parent who's just barking in the car, right? And I think that's important. But what I'd like to hear is like being a basketball player, seeing basketball, being around elite.
Yeah. When
you give them to their coaches, and maybe their coach doesn't do something that you necessarily agree with, how do you handle that?
Yeah. What's interesting about all three of them is they're all very different, right?
Okay.
My wife and I raised them the same, but they're just very different, and they're very different players. They handle things emotionally different. And so when I make the decision, or when we as a family make a decision on who they're going to play for, team, coach, we take that into consideration. Like I know for Jordan does not play well with a coach that is negative, that is like drilling into him. Aidan does. It just is his thing. Taylor could deal with it. So like when Jordan made the decision to go to Merrimack, I knew coach was a big, important piece to this thing. And we found a coach that was great for him. Now that, he's going to Rutgers, I think Coach Pikel's great for him.
Yeah.
When we made the decision for Taylor to go to UMass, it was because a bunch of coaches that were recruiting her went to UMass to coach her. It happened. But I think that as a parent, you have to kind of hand them off, and they have to learn how to deal with a coach. I be honest, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with a coach that is about playing time, about what they're doing wrong or right. But I have had many conversations around their emotional state and their emotional capacity, and just in terms of, hey, pat him on the back a little more. Like you may think he's or she's like tough and thick-skinned, and they are, but give him some positivity. And I think that once Jordan found that he plays better for a coach like that, like you saw him blossom as a player, and the coaching component is so important because they're with their coaches more than us. And everything that their coaches say, they take to heart. And it's really hard to play for a coach that you don't feel is supportive or is negative all the time. And we're blessed enough and I'm blessed as a parent that they're good enough where I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
If I don't, I'll take them off a team immediately if I feel like there's an issue there, or they're not. Now, being coached hard is very different than being coached wrong.
100%.
So I'm good with them being coached hard. They need that, and that's they've all been coached very hard. But like when it crosses a line of their affecting their emotional or mental state, then we don't have to do that.
No.
Like we'll leave. We've left teams and
well,
we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear you say that because you have not once said about them playing or not playing. It's about that piece. And so, not sure you guys know this, but all in actually means the parent, the coach, and the athlete all being on the same page. So something that's a big message of the organization is that, having those really conversations with a coach. Like you as a parent should be able to say to a coach, you push my kid, go ahead. But hey, she might be going through something today, so pat her on the back. Those lines of communication need to be open. I do not agree with the coach saying, hey, don't call me, don't talk to me. Yeah, you don't want to talk about playing time. I get it. Here, take my kid, do what you need to do because you're also coaching 10 other players, 15 other players. But every coach should know emotionally how to coach each kid. I mean, as a coach for 23 years, 47 different personalities, really. And you're like, okay, that kid can scream and yell. And then if I ever make a mistake of yelling at the kid who can't, that other kid is like, you can handle it. You got this. Yep. And you have to go back, because that's what we're building. You guys are learning your communication. That coach is making a mirror of communication to you guys. I think it's important. Would you guys agree as athletes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest part is like relationships. I mean, personally, I can probably deal with any coach. I could deal if you are the nicest person, the most positive, or the most negative. But I mean, I think I personally need to know for a fact that we have a relationship, that it's not just like the surface, that I know that you deep down want the best for me and that you love me and I can deal with it. I mean, it's kind of hard when you're dealing with somebody that you don't know if they want your best, that they're there for your best interest or not. So I think personally, like, it doesn't really matter to me how you coach, but like, as long as I know and you're making it known that like I'm important to you and like deep down we do have a connection, I can play for you. Whatever you say, I'll listen
awesome.
to, but like I just need to know that part, that it's just not on the surface.
Yeah.
There's a relationship.
It's a relationship.
I mean, I think that every coach that my kids have ever played for know that I'm involved in this, right? And not involved in a way like we talked about, we're playing side. That's different. I'm involved because I'm invested in my children's well-being. Like, it's not just sport, it's making them, a better person. And when I see something that flies in the face of that, I'm going to say something. And I think that, to Taylor's point, coaches that understand that get it because they're vested as well. And they want them to succeed and they want them to be good people. When I don't see that is when we probably have to make a move, and because it's just not the right fit. And Jordan and I talk about fit all the time and how important fit is, and if it's not a good fit, then we move on and we figure it's just not right for us.
And Jordan, how about you feel that same way? Like,
it's interesting you're talking about like coaches and how you have to know who you're talking to, because I'm at a point right now where I'm an older college basketball player, so I'm a leader on and off the court, and I'm kind of going through similar things where, I have certain teammates that I can really, really yell at, and certain teammates that, I got to chill with. I got to tell them I got to be positive with him today because, I don't want him to stop playing for me. And it's funny because, I think that growing up and, I've been blessed with really, really good coaches that I've built relationships with that I know really, really care about me. And it's an interesting thing that goes on where, you get in the car after a game when you're little and, your parents are mad and you didn't play good. And I think that what little kids need to understand is they're not mad that you didn't play good. They just know how much you wanted to play well. And I think that's really important. And as you get older, you have coaches that, you're in the film room and they're breaking it down and you're getting killed. And it's when you're older, you understand now that they don't want to get in here and kill me because they want me to, feel bad the rest of the day. They know that how much I care about playing and how much it makes me happy to win and how much it makes me happy to be a better individual player. So they're just trying to do that. And I think it's hard for kids to understand. I didn't understand it when I was little. I would come home and I'd be like, you're mad that I just didn't play well. And now being older, you understand that they're mad that you didn't get what you wanted.
I think that's the hardest part about being a parent is like, we get in the car and, what are we doing today? It's, there's TikToks all over the place. The parents in the car being like, what are we doing? What do, why am I paying money for you to go to this tournament? And it's, I think Jordan nailed it on the head. It's I know how much they want it. So when they don't put the effort forward, they don't, try as hard as I thought they should have. It's that balance of like, you want to hug them and say, I got you, but you also, I know how much they want it. So it's like, hey, well, if you do want it as much as I think you do, there's things we got to do to get better. Right. And there's, that tough love. I think that they hopefully see more now, but as kids, they probably were like, man, this guy's just all over me all the time. Or my wife is, mom is killing me today because I didn't get out there and do what I'm supposed to do. And I think that we just know how much that they want to be successful and they want to win. So it's a balance.
I think it's cool, Jordan, because you're now extension of your coaching staff because you're one of the older members, and now it's very powerful when the kids can do that and be there for the other kids to say, hey, listen, coach is just making you better. If we're in this together, like pick your head up and let's go to battle again. You know, that's really important to have kids on a team. That really creates the chemistry. And that's where like the true leadership comes out in order for a team to be successful.
And that's what's cool. They do it to each other. I mean, like Jordan breaks Taylor's film down with her. Like they have conversations about like, hey, you know, what about this? Try that. And you know, it'll be interesting, you know, the conversations after games because it's a lot of tough love. It's a lot of like, you know, you could have done this better and this is what you should, you know, think about. But like that's like Jordan's ability now to be in it a few years and have more of that leader mentality or have seen different things translates really well because Taylor's coming into this world of college, you know, Division I basketball. So she understands like, all right, let me, you know, she probably doesn't always want to listen to Jordan, but there's things that she's going to take from him that because he's been through it and he's you know, seen it, you know, firsthand.
Sure. That's cool. Are you excited about the jump?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, watching Jordan, my whole life, I mean, grow up, play, but watching him the past few years in college has been really like inspiring for me. I mean, my goal always was to play Division I basketball, and I think watching him do it first and like him get the reins and like watch what he struggled with and what he does good, I think like it's really prepared me to go into college. I mean, I'm coming into a great coaching staff. Like my dad said, like the different schools that were recruiting me, like their assistant coaches kind of just came together at UMass. So I knew all of them coming in. And I was like, this is perfect for me. So I'm really excited watching him, even like watching my dad and my mom, how they did it too. I think like I'm going to be able to get it right quicker. Obviously I'm going to learn, but like I learned from them first. So it's not going to be as hard as I thought it would be.
Her game's going to translate really well. Jordan and I always joke, we've never watched a high school athlete being played like she was played. I mean, she was doubled and triple teamed every game. I mean, it was obnoxious a lot of times. So like her ability to persevere and get through that mentally, we always say is something really special. It was insane how she was guarded in high school. And so I think she's that'll translate perfectly for her. I think it'll be a welcome to not be double, triple teamed every game. So she'll be great.
Yeah. And Jordan, talk a little bit about going from Merrimack to Rutgers. So.
Yeah, I obviously like Merrimack's a low to mid major. So going into it, I knew that, you know, it was going to be tough when I entered because it was a situation where I didn't know what kind of looks I was going to get, and I had to make that leap. And I had plenty of conversations with Coach Gallo and the entire staff and my family about, you know, is this the right situation? Is the right option for me to jump in? And, you know, when you have your head coach telling you that it's okay, and you have your head coach saying like, do it because like we got you, it's awesome. Like it's a great experience. Being in the transfer portal is the craziest / best time to ever be in it. And you know, the first day, I think everybody's kind of gotten to this, is the first day is a huge influx of information and people calling you, and my phone was on fire. And then, you know, you have the days go by and the weeks go by, where people start, you know, weeding themselves out, whether it's, you know, not hitting you up anymore, or, you know, people hitting you up more. And then, you know, again, we talked about it, but coaching was a big thing for me. So I kind of got down to a couple schools where I really, really liked them. And it just so happens that all 4 or 5 schools that I really, really liked had really, really good coaches. So I went on some visits to 3 of those schools. I went to Penn State, I went to Seton Hall, and I went to Rutgers. And, you know, everyone has their pros, everyone has their cons, but those 3 schools in general were really, really good. And I can't express enough how great of a time I had on all of those visits, and how great all of those coaching staffs and how great all those teams are. But Rutgers is home. It's as close as you can get. It's at the highest level. So everything kind of clicked into one. And on the visit, you know, we had some some good conversations with coaches and, you know, Pike and assistant coach TJ Thompson. And, you know, it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be, you know, on paper, it's the most exciting year in Rutgers history. And I wanted to be a part of that. And I not only want to be a part of that, but I want to be a main contributor in that. And I think that I will be doing that.
That's amazing.
His journey is just unreal. I mean, he's not heavily recruited out of high school because COVID. I mean, I think that, you know, he has a few, 1 or 2 Division I offers out of high school. We made the decision to do a prep year, you know, get him physically, you know, more prepared. Goes to Merrimack, wins the conference championship his first year, wins defensive player of the year his second year, and now has this opportunity to go to Rutgers. And, you know, a lot of the other schools that were recruiting him were saying great things. You know, we want to build this program around you. We want you to come in and be the leader that we know you are. And then Rutgers, similarly, but we want you to come in and be a contributor, right? We have 2 of the best players in the world coming into this team next year. Can you come in and help them and help this team win a national championship? And it was a big risk for him. I mean, you know, you have on one hand, coaches saying we want to build around you, and another, Rutgers saying we want you to be a part of something, and you know, and you're gonna have to work for everything that you get, you know, here. And I knew right when they said that Jordan would be all in, because that's his mentality, and you know, he's gonna have this opportunity to go to Rutgers and, like he said, you know, be part of something, probably the biggest year in Rutgers sport history. Really so cool. It's gonna be exciting for him. It's gonna be a challenge for him. He's gonna probably have some tough days, but like, if anyone could make this team better, it's him. So it's going to be really fun. And then for Taylor, it's going to be just as interesting because it's all new. And, you know, I think they have.
How were they last year?
They struggled a little bit. I mean, they were rebuilding because the head coach of UMass left and went to Pitt. So our assistant, Coach Leffler, took over as head coach. And he just had to build with what he had at that point. And everyone was so talented. I think it just kind of like the gel kind of went somewhere. It kind of got lost in translation. I mean, I think they really tried to. They're all amazing, very talented players. And I think it was just a really hard season. But this next recruiting class coming in is truly Leffler's. And it's going to be really exciting. He has a 2 of right now coming from the transfer portal, 4 freshmen incoming, some who stayed from last year. So I think it's going to be a really great season. I think we're going to turn a lot of heads from last year to this year. So I'm really excited. Cool.
Yeah, I think she'll have an opportunity to come in and make an impact right away. Knowing the type of person she is, she'll do that pretty seamlessly. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting year for both of them. You know, now it's how we manage it as a family and get to as many games as possible. Luckily, you know, in this era of everything being on TV, you know, we don't miss any game.
Exactly.
But
I'm sure you have like every streaming device there.
Oh,
is.
everything. Yeah, we have subscriptions that I don't even know. I don't even know anymore.
The names. So the mental side of it, just to give some advice from both of you, like how do you keep your mental game up? Because physically you're gifted, support from your family, everything. I mean, what do you do? Just like some strategies you can share.
I mean, if we're gonna like talk real, it's really hard. I mean, for me, there's days where I don't want to do it. Like I love basketball, but there's some days where I'm just like, not today. Like I really don't want to do it, but I know I have to.
Okay.
I mean, I think as from a young age, I knew I wanted to be a Division I athlete, but I don't think many people know how hard it is to be a Division I athlete.
Yes.
Like they're even when I was younger, it was like, all right, you need to get a workout in. Like my dad and mom would be like, you need to get a workout in today. I'm like, I don't want to. They're like, no, you have to. And we would go and get a workout in. And I think like as I'm growing up, I kind of realized that it wasn't them wanting to torture me. It was more that they knew I wanted this. And at the age, I didn't understand what it took. So, like even now, like I'm getting in 2 workouts a day, not because they're telling me to, just because like I know that that's what I need to do to get to the next level. So I think like it's really hard. Again, there's days I don't want to do it. There's days I practice.
What strategies get you through it? Do you like, what's your why? Like, and what are some ways that you cope with it? Like, what are some of your...
like we were talking about, we're such a tight knit family, that like I can talk to any of them at any time about anything. So if there's some days where I don't want to do it, I'd be like, Jordan, like, I don't want to do this. And Jordan would be like, well, you're going to have to do it. Like, real talk. I'll talk to my mom and dad. I'll talk to Aidan. So, I mean, I think just being such a close family has really helped me. I think going back to the running part where we were doing 5K at such a young age, I think for me, talking to my family, being such a close, tight-knit family, but also like for me now, it's going on runs. That's like cool. If I'm like having a bad day, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go on a run. Yeah. Even like I'll go on a run with my dad. There's sometimes I'm like, we'll all go on a run. I remember even at such a young age, it was like, all right, we're gonna do a 5K today, but everyone's gonna do different. Yeah. Like you need to do 3 miles. When you come back, you're gonna do 3 miles. But I think the mental aspect, it's really hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's really hard. Many people won't say that, but like it's really hard for me sometimes. Like there's some days I just don't want to do it. But I think just having such a tight-knit family and people that really support you and know what you want and pushing you to be your best is really what helps me mentally.
One of my favorite quotes that I tell people is, you learn how to do hard better. Yeah. Because you accept it. It's hard. Life's going to be hard. You learn how to do it better. So you have your family, you have music, you have probably close friends, real relationships with reflection. Then you do the hard better. Yeah. And then sometimes it's easier and then it's even harder. But that's life. Yeah. And, you know, everyone set you up for that. You know what I mean? Which is cool. How about you, Jordan? What are some of your coping strategies?
Yeah, I think that he kind of talks about, you know, how he raised us the same, but we're just not the same. Yeah. And, you know, for me, I just love it. Like I can't get enough of it. Like I could be in the gym for 10 hours. I want to be in the gym for 12 hours. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I surround myself with people like-minded people. Yes. That want to push me to get better. Some, you know, and obviously, like she said, it's going to be hard. There's days where, you know, I'm tired. And you know, it's not wanting to do it. Sometimes I just physically am not able to do it. But you know, you have people that push you, and you have people that understand. Like, hey, like maybe basketball's not the right thing right now. Let's just go out to get something to eat. Like, let's just chill. Let's just, you know, hang out. I think that, you know, being at a smaller school is interesting because, you know, you make friends that are not just, you know, athletes. And, you know, you're sitting next to somebody in a class. You only 15 people in a class, and you're talking to somebody, and you're like, oh, like you're from 15 minutes away from me, and I didn't even know it. Like, let's talk about something else. Then that's not basketball. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that there is coping strategies. I just love it so much that I can't get enough.
You have that inner light.
I think as parents too, I think you know, while they'll sit here and say, like, you know, you have to get a workout in today. You have, you know, that's true. And I think that, you know, we know where the destination they want to get to is and what that journey looks like. But there's also, as a parent, I think you have to understand sometimes where you look and you say, maybe not today. Right. Yeah. And so there are times where it's like, we're going to skip practice today, right? We're going to skip this workout today. Let's go grab some dinner. Let's do something else. And I think, well, that doesn't happen often because, you know, this is hard work. I think my wife and I have gotten a little bit better over the years in identifying where, all right, it's a little break time. Yeah. You know, like let's pump the brakes a little bit on what we're doing. Cause it does. I mean, like, again, like I said before, there's a major difference of rec basketball versus elite high level basketball. And not only are they working out 2-3 times a day, but then when they're playing against the top level competition in the country, right? Like you know, Taylor played on a extremely high level basketball team every weekend. Every game was against high level Division I players. Jordan's played, you know, against the top players in the country. Aidan's doing the same thing, so it wears on you. Yeah, it's a lot, and I think that you know, to have a little bit of a break here and there is really important, and to do the things they like to do. Like, we like to travel, we like to go on vacations together. We do, you know, vacations as much as we can. But even when we're not on vacation, we just hang, right? We go out to dinner, sit by the pool. You know?
Yeah, I think it's important because, like, you do often identify as an athlete, as a basketball player, but it seems because you guys are grounded in family and support and you're grounded in each other that you're not going to struggle with that. A lot of athletes struggle like, oh no, what's next? And it's like, you know what's next? I'm taking everything I just went through and now I'm ready for the world. Like that's the bottom line, and that's the shift you have to make. It's like, you know, I mean, being an athlete was really tough. Like back then, no one talked about like mental health or anything like that. And all you're taught is to just keep going. But, you know, for me, I learned that you do keep going, but you do see the skills of and how special it is to be an athlete and the connection and the relationships, you know?
I think my dad said it good. Like, there's times like you don't want to do it. They know we don't want to do it. But I think my parents have done a great job in like making it all so fun. Like, I mean, there's some days where I'm going to a basketball game or I'm coming back from a basketball game or practice and I'm just like, I'm not in the mood. Like I did not play good, like whatever. And my mom's, or even going to my mom, I don't want to go to practice. She's like, okay, go to practice and we'll go to Target after. We'll get Starbucks after. Like they try to make it fun. I mean, it kind of pushes me to do better, but like he was saying, like we'll go out to dinner, like at even like bad tournament, like we lost, I didn't play good, and it's like, all right, let's go home and let's go out to dinner and we won't talk about the tournament. Like but I think they understand the mental aspect, because I like when they played, like mental health wasn't really a big thing, so I think it's gotten like a lot bigger. I think it needs to be more recognized, but I think they've done a great job in making it fun as well as like hard work. We all know how hard it is, but I think they've made it fun and like something we enjoy rather than dread to do every day.
And everyone has mental health, and I think that's why I don't know why it's stigmatized so much. I mean, let's change it, but it is hard. Like it's hard, but you deal with the hard, and then you are also having fun with it, and then it's part of the process. So there's like this fine line for me where it's like you do need to learn mental toughness, and some people don't get it from their parents. So to get it from their coach, it's I'm going to teach you mental toughness, but I love you. And I'm going to listen to that, person. So I think that's the message out there.
It's something that you have to work on. It's like, you don't just, you're not great at basketball because you don't practice. You're great at basketball because you practice. You're not, you can't be grounded and balanced if you don't work on your mental health. And it's something that I think you said it before. Well, like when you're communicative and you talk about it, right, you take the stigma out of it. And it's okay to be like, I don't feel great today. I'm depressed. I'm not having a great day. I'm not, and to figure out why and talk through it. And, maybe you're not 100% better, but like, I think that talking about it is so helpful, because then it's just not on you. Right. So like I could look at my kids and be like, something's off today. Right. Something, whether it's, a bad grade on a test, a bad game. And then you joke about it, and you work through it as a family, and you work through it as, as siblings, and they give each other so much crap, but the one thing that they know is that they're there for them and they're there for each other. So I think just having that support system is so critical.
And if you don't address that, then that sadness just triples and doubles, and then now you're really not hitting the free throws. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a pretty amazing thing. I mean, like, when you're so invested in something like they are, right? They want to be great athletes. They want to play professional. They want to make money off this sport. How are you not going to be emotional and have bad days? Like, if you don't, you're not into it. You're not. So that comes with it, right? And like, if you have the ability and you're given some of the opportunity to talk about it and be better with it, like that's what's great about this sport and great about sports, is that it comes with it, and you have to learn how to deal with it. But I'll tell you what, it's going to translate into life as well, because I know whatever they do, whether they play professional or they get another job, like they're going to use the skill sets, not just the physical ones, but the mental ones, to be able to be successful in this world. So like while they're going through it now, they're learning the valuable skill sets that's going to allow them to be successful in whatever they do.
So we're coming to an end, but I'm going to ask you guys 2 like quick questions in like a rapid fire. First of all, like, this has been incredible. Like, Taylor, thank you for being so deep, and like all kids need to hear that it's hard. you know, and Jordan, same with you. Like, just offering that leadership perspective is really cool. And Dad, like, just speaking on behalf of your family is special. So I'm going to ask you all 2 questions. All right. First, you're going to define resilience, the first thing that comes to your mind. And then one lesson that you would tell your younger self. All right. So Taylor, define resilience.
I would say resilience is just being able to get through the hard times. I would say being resilient is just like, when things are hard, you don't just ignore it. You need to fight through it. You need to talk to people. You need to get through it. Excellent. You don't just ignore it, and because it's not going to go away. You can't ignore something. It's not going to go away. It's just going to stay there. And then when something else bad happens, it's going to snowball into. Yeah. So I think being resilient is more about being able to tackle the hard things and acknowledge them rather than just letting them go and ignoring them.
Excellent. How about resilience?
Yeah,
Jordan?
She talked about, pushing through. I think what's really important in terms of resilience is understanding where you went wrong or where something is not going the right way. I think that, like, obviously, if you're trying to break down a door and you're just breaking it down, there might be another way in. And I think that's really important too, understanding maybe this is not just the route I should go here. Maybe I should, talk to some people and figure out, hey, like, where else can I go here?
Excellent. Dad?
Yeah, I think as it relates to an athlete, I think resilience is really understanding the gap of what you think you can do and what you could do. Many people in this world think they could do something and they're capable of so much more, and they just have never they never pushed through to get to that place where they could get to, because they just don't know they could get to it. Right. I think with my kids and elite athletes, you push. So that gap of what you think you could do and what you could do is small. So, I could maybe push a little bit more, but this is probably it. So I think for them, it's a matter of understanding how much more they could give, right? And part of resilience, I think, is saying that's it. That's all I got, right? Because I know my body, I know like where I'm at, and this is it. And so I think
it's amazing.
It's like understanding that gap.
Yeah. So Taylor, what's the one piece of advice you tell your younger self?
I think I would tell my younger self to just enjoy it. I think whenever I'm giving advice to other people, younger girls, my advice all the time is like, smile, have fun.
Love it.
Like, I don't do good if I'm not having fun. And if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it. And it's not going to be done good. So I think if I had to give advice to my younger self or even younger girls, I would just say, enjoy it, have fun, smile, like, make the best of it.
Awesome. Jordan?
I think that I would tell my younger self that, I'm not done with this journey by any means, but I would say that it's worth it. Yeah. The most rewarding experience for me is winning. And I'm at a level where I have, little kids looking up to me, and I have 2 little kids looking up to me right now.
Love that.
And I would never fold, because I would never want them to be able to see that. So that was
Man, that's a tough one. It's that balance, right?
Yeah.
It's I would say be better, be a better dad, be more supportive, hug more, kiss more, love more, versus pushing them, right? But it's the balance of pushing them, and I think I would say, make sure that they know how much I'm invested and how much I love them, and it's not I love them less if they play worse, or I love them more if they play better. I love them no matter what they do. I just know that I want them to know that I'm here to help them. So just be better in all aspects of life.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.